Okay, month 2, block 4. They can't see my hands, and I'm doing wiggly things with my hands on the side. Betsy and I just played Where's the Block on the actual quilt sample. It was very funny because it took us both a while to find it. Okay, so we're going to start with 3-part units. Now, we have 1 large green triangle and 2 small light and dark triangles. Now, because we're in a quarter square triangle situation with these have to be sewn correctly, identically all the time. Meaning, if I seam here, my next set has to be seamed the same way because this organization works. But if this happens and you have a block with these switched, it's not going to look right. Okay, so you have to, when you do this, of course, I had to take apart a block, which is why I'm telling you this. Always make sure that you're sewing the same way. So I lined up my darks on the left, lights on the right, flipped the light over and sewed. And then I sewed my next one and my next one and my next one, so I knew they were identical. Okay, so you're going to sew these 2 triangles together to make a half, and then you're going to add your green on the other side to get these units. Okay, and then now we're going to square. I'm again going to take my square and a square trim tool. I find my picot, my center, and then I'm going to trim. Oops. And then I'm going to turn it around, find my center again, and trim. Now I'm going to show you an alternate way to trim. If before you iron your pieces out and trim, you can use this seam and this seam as guides. So where this seam meets, that's your picot. You line that up on your center. The seam is on that black line. This seam should be on the diagonals here. And when you trim, you've got 4.5 by 4.5 without all that pesky turning. It's up to you if you want to do that. I do both ways fairly often. Okay, so those are your first units, and these are going to be in your corners. Okay, next piece is you're doing hourglass units, and the hourglass units have fabric 8 and fabric 10 with fabric 1s. Now, they have you cutting all these into individual triangles to put together. You don't quite have to do that. Oops. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to take, I'm missing one of those. Where'd it go? Okay. Your fabric 10 and your fabric 1 and your fabric 8 and your fabric 1 squares. Don't cut them into the triangles like the instructions say. These are 6-inch, these are your 6-inch squares. Okay, 6-inch squares. You're going to mark your center, sew on either side, okay, and then you're going to cut them in half. Now you have half square triangles here. Okay. When you cut these in half, this is where it gets a little tricky. you have to cut one set of the 8s and one set of the fabric 10s. And then you have to switch them to make your hourglass units. And it's a little easier and more precise than sewing the 4 triangles, because once you cut those units into, once you cut the squares into triangles, you're dealing with bias. Okay? And this way, you know, just using our half square triangle method, we get our hourglasses without all that pesky bias. Okay. Now we have the centers. You're going to get a lot of the rose fabric in this month because the pattern calls for fussy cutting the roses to make the centers of your blocks. And it does, you got to do it. You just got to fussy cut because it really makes the centers of your blocks stand out when those roses are in there. So you will be using this fabric through the rest of the quilt blocks, sampler blocks, fussy cutting the roses. So we have our rose, and we're going to do a our 9 patch. Those go on either side there. The tiny squares in the corner. Where'd my other 2 squares go? Oh well. So these together, and you'll have one more. So those 3 rows together, there's your center. Okay, we're going to start there. And then we are going to put our hourglasses with that, I didn't square those, to the center. It's okay, you get it. Watch this, I'm not even going to sew that together. Ta-da! And then you're going to take your green and put those to the center. And Betsy is again looking at this quilt. Oh, she found it. She's pointing. She found it. And you've got block number 4 of month 2. Any questions or problems, give us a call. We love seeing posted blocks up on the Facebook page. Please join us in playing. We get your blocks done and keep going. This is the time when you start putting them up on your design wall or somewhere in your house where you can see them all the time, so that you continue to be encouraged to work on your blocks. Okay, because now you got 4 and they're amazing. Okay, we'll see you soon. Bye.